Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bobby Mills, the 1,000-yard guy for Endzone Online on the Independent.com. Today we went south to Kenesaw, where we had the honor of chatting with Coach Craig Schnitzler. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you.
So glad to be here. First question I have to ask you is, what was it like growing up playing for your father? And of course, if you don't know, Bob Schnitzler, I would say legendary coach from Battle Creek.
Yeah, he's had a ton of success.
He has.
You know, playing for him, I guess I never really thought about it in quite a while, but we had a lot of fun. We grew up around the game because, my brother and I, that's all we did growing up, and in the neighborhood, just played a lot of football, and in the wintertime we played basketball, and, just kind of whatever season came up, we were after it. And we knew that growing up that we had to work hard and we had to be good at what we were doing, because you always got those people that, he's playing because he's coach's son.
Oh, yes.
And so we had to deal with that a little bit, but being successful was important to us, and we had the work ethic to go with it.
Bob started coaching up there. Was it in '62, or was it? It couldn't have been '62. When did he start at Battle Creek? Were you born yet?
I was born in '64, and
was
I
he
was
already
born in Norfolk. We lived in Battle Creek, so yeah, he was already. It probably was around '62.
Because I think he might be the third or fourth winningest coach, maybe somewhere around there. Of course, he's retired now, but. I just wondered if it was any tougher playing, and he had phenomenal success, obviously. If he was any tougher on you guys with that expectation of, or was it just the same for everybody? That's what I'm figuring.
I don't think, going through, thinking back to the 4 years of high school, we didn't get treated any different, but we knew we had to.
That was,
it was in us, and we knew what was expected of us, and we were given some God-given talent, and we were able to use that, and with a lot of hard work, we had a lot of success.
Well, did your dad play football?
He did.
In high school? Where did he
played
go?
In high school. He went to Wayne State College. He played football, ran track, and played baseball for Wayne State.
Okay, well, the guy knows his stuff. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. He was actually drafted, I believe, by the Boston Red Sox.
Wow.
In baseball, and
some guys.
The story he gave was that when he was in the minors, they said he had a couple strikes against him. He was 23 years old, and he was married, and he didn't see his future in baseball, so he packed up and ended up going to a little Catholic school outside of Humphrey for a semester, and then took a job in the spring, I think, of '62 at Battle Creek, and that's where he's lived ever since.
And he coached every single year after at St. Fran's, that little short time at Battle Creek, right?
Right, yeah.
So were they winning when you? I keep thinking that Robbie's younger than you are, but he's older.
He's a year older.
Yeah. And I think they were winning when you guys came into high school, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. I know his first undefeated season, I believe, was in '75.
Oh my goodness!
And
first year
they didn't even make the playoffs, but they ended up getting, I think, a rated #1 at the end. They had a very good, very talented team.
They did.
Probably one of the big names back then would have been Bob Berry. Played for him. He was a running back, and then went on to Wayne State on a really good career there.
I saw him play. Of course, in '75, that was the Tim McCready era at Plainview, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they only had 4 teams in the playoffs.
You got to remember, we get back that far. I'm pretty young.
That's why I keep thinking, hey, this is Bob.
I'm only about 10, 11 years old.
This is Bob next to me. But no. Was it 19? I keep thinking you were a senior, but you must have been a junior in '91 when you guys.
No, it would have been 81.
81. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It would have been
81.
Fall of '81. I was a junior, and Rob was a senior.
And the touchdown twins, and you were the quarterback.
Yeah.
I remember going up to 2 games. One was a state championship game, but I remember I have notebooks from every year, and I'm putting zeros on every single game that Battle Creek played. I think Catholic Norfolk Catholic might have scored a couple of touchdowns
Yeah,
on you.
that was 9th game of the season.
Yeah, and I just, all those zeros, and yet, on that all-state football team that year, only one guy made defense, and he was the punter, and that was Jay Proner. And I could not figure that out, and that was in the World Herald, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, Rob and the touchdown twins, Marty Mullins.
Yeah, Marty Mullins.
And St. Francis had a good team that year.
They really did.
You opened
Yeah.
with those. I'm assuming Proner kicked a field goal or something. I don't
It
know.
was, I was a field goal
Oh, you
kicker.
were?
Yep.
Okay.
He was our punter. I did the kicking, all the kickoffs and PATs and field goals. And yeah, that year we came out and we ended up beating St. Francis 10-0.
10-0 that opener, yeah.
Yep.
And then that game with Aquinas, I thought at that time that was the best football game I ever saw in my life. But 12 or 13 years later, a double overtime, and Battle Creek was on the short end of that one.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
I've never seen a better game in my life, 29-28.
I was on the sidelines for that. That was
Yeah, you guys didn't
It
make
was a great game to watch. Disappointing outcome.
Yeah.
Depending on whose side you're on.
I know, and it was unbelievable. I could live to be 100 and never see a game like that again, I can tell you that. But I didn't realize this, and we were talking before, that Coach Schnitzler, you went up and helped Dad for 1 year, or did you go straight to Meade after Nebraska?
After Nebraska, my first job was at Meade.
Okay.
And I was an assistant coach for John Dahl there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about, you lettered it for the Huskers in 87 and 88, is that correct?
Let's
Or
see,
somewhere around there?
fall of 85 and 87.
Oh, 80, okay.
Yeah.
And were you read a punter or place kicker?
I did both. I punted and I place kicked, and
You were straight on?
straight on. Yeah, you don't see those guys anymore.
I wish I could.
I was probably the last of the breed, especially at Nebraska.
I was thinking, yeah, if you did, you had to be close to the end of that.
So I had a great opportunity. I was my sophomore year, because when I came in, we played freshman ball, and then the next year we redshirted, and then the next year you were a redshirt sophomore. And my brother was a junior on the team, and he was starting at split end, and
Yep.
the Illinois game was coming up, and they had announced on Sunday before the Illinois game that I was going to start as a place kicker. So that was pretty exciting, and then just so happened that in that ball game, I kicked 7 PATs and 1 field goal, and Rob caught his first touchdown pass.
Wow.
So we kind of made some history there with being the first 2 brothers to score in the same game.
Yeah, I wouldn't think there would have been any before that.
No.
Was that the year you played Florida in the postseason, or was it Miami? I can't remember which.
We went to the Sugar Bowl that year.
Yeah, okay, all right.
And I think it was LSU.
I think it probably
Yeah.
was, because maybe Florida might have been after
So-
that. I don't remember, but
So yeah, then after that game, at practice the next week, we were back kicking field goals, team field goals, and I tore my quad almost in half. So I had a short career as a starter, but
Oh, my
after
goodness.
that, lost a few yards because of the injury.
oh,
And then
boy.
I never got to play. I tried for a couple games and couldn't make it, and my sophomore year, and then kind of hung it up for that season and just kind of stood on the sidelines. And
Oh, boy.
that was the same year that Dale Klein, 2 or 3 games later, when he hit the 7 field goals against Missouri.
I was going to say
To
that
set
had to
the-
be back in that
To
era.
set the national
Could have
record.
been. You could have been you.
Yeah, it could have been
Oh,
me trying.
my
I don't know if I could have got 7
Oh, my.
made field goals, but
Has that affected you in any way since? I mean, what could have been there or not?
no, not really.
Not a Schnitzler, probably. I can't see that happening, but
I knew my career beyond college was limited, because the next year after I graduated in '87, they took away the tee on field goals.
That's right.
So it was kind of ironic that, okay, this is my last year, and the next year now you got to kick off the ground, and to be a straight-on kicker and kick off the ground is very difficult, because you just don't get the ball up quick
No, you
enough.
don't.
You know,
and it's in grass
I
anyway.
think it was Kenny Seibel that kicked for Nebraska.
Might have been,
in,
yeah.
Early '80s, he he went on and had some success a little bit in the pros. He was a straight-on kicker.
Wow.
But it's just difficult to get the ball up. So it kind of worked out. I was a backup the next 2 years to Dale Klein my junior year, and then my senior year I was the backup to Chris Drennan and Greg Barrios, I think, were the other.
I remember Barrios. Yeah.
Right in there. So, but just to have that opportunity.
That's exactly right.
Was exciting, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
But to play with your brother had to be great. That scoring on this in the same game. But
Right.
So on to Meade. What kind of success did you have there? I can't imagine anything but good when you were.
We
there.
did. We had some good teams, competitive teams. We played some really good ball clubs. We had to play East Butler.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
When
yeah.
the Makovica, especially Joel Makovica, was going through school, and we had. I remember his senior year. They came to our place, and what an athlete! I mean, what a specimen!
Oh, I know.
And we had to play him all four of his years.
So you saw the development.
And so we saw the development, and we got in a shootout. We couldn't stop their running game with him carrying the football, but they had a hard time stopping our passing game, and we gave them 2 touchdowns. The opening kickoff, we fumbled, and they landed on it in the end zone, scored. And then later in the game, we snapped the ball over the punter's head, and they fell on it in the end zone.
My God.
So there was 14 or 16 points right there. The game ended up being, I think, like 62 to 52. So
Whoa,
it was
my kind of game.
Yeah, so it was high scoring, and we threw the ball really well that night, and they ran the ball. Of course, they're obviously when you score that many points, there's not a lot of defense on either side of the ball. But
the D coordinator is scratching his head.
but that's probably one of the games that really stands out. But we were competitive every year. I think we made the playoffs the majority of the time. And
Was that 8-man or 11?
we played 8-man.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Because everything's gone down to 8-man in that area now, which is
and we had to challenge Howells and Dodge, Corey Eichmeyer. We had some of the football players that we had to try and stop.
That was a
I
magic
think we
year.
saw Corey Eichmeyer 3 years straight. We saw Joel Makovic 3 years straight. The Beering kid,
Yep.
boys from Dodge. It just
Woo.
it was a tremendous challenge. And the kids they did a nice job, and we competed.
That's pretty good because sometimes those teams in Fort Calhoun, Meade, they got lost in the shuffle sometimes. But when you can compete against teams like that and do well, you're doing fine.
Yeah.
What about your sisters? Now, your 2 older ones in your family, they didn't achieve the notoriety, did they? Like Linda and Mary did.
No, my
Did they
oldest
play
sister
for-
Sandy went to Wayne State
Okay.
and threw the shot and disc.
That's not
For
bad.
them, and then my second oldest, which is Jeannie, she went on to beauty school. But they both were athletes in high school, and they brought home a state runner-up
Cool.
back in '79, I believe,
When did-
against Hastings St. Cecilia when they
Wow.
won their 3rd straight. Would have been the 3rd year.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting because we have some ties. When I came here to Kenesaw, Bonnie Engelhart, who then was a volleyball coach and played at Hastings St. Cecilia
Oh
for those
my
3 years,
gosh.
said, "I think I played against your sisters in high school in the state finals." And sure
Small
enough,
world.
yeah. So yeah, they were able to be part of a state runner-up basketball team, and that was probably the start of when really things started getting rolling in girls basketball at Battle Creek.
And of course, Bob started coaching in 78 or 9.
I think girls basketball started somewhere between that 74 and 76 time period.
And of course, he only won like 489 games or something like that. But
Right.
Anyway, I have to ask you a question. Of course, your family was inducted as a family into the Nebraska High School Sports Hall of Fame, and that was, I don't remember what year it was, but there aren't very many families besides the Fishers and the Schnitzlers that have had that kind of honor.
Right,
And everyone
yeah,
in
it
the
was-
family deserved it, which is, and sometime I'm going to have to ask your mother how it was to be a mother of all this stuff, mother and wife.
Yeah.
But there's one instance I've always wondered about. You can plead the 5th on this if Bob's listening. your youngest sister, is that correct, Mary?
Yes.
A
Yep.
great athlete.
Yep.
She won the Miss Nebraska pageant and earned the right to go to Miss America contest, and I don't know where is that. I suppose Atlantic City.
It was in Atlantic City.
Bob missed a football game to attend that, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Now, did he do that on his own accord, or was there a little twist in there? Because I just can't imagine. When I heard that, I'm thinking, this guy has really. I hope that young lady appreciates that. And I shouldn't have said that because, that took a lot of.
Right. I can't answer that exactly. I know this much. We've always been a very family oriented.
That's amazing, though.
And I would say he probably felt it was important that he be there.
And it was probably.
And it is. It was a tremendous opportunity for my sister.
Oh gosh, yes.
And for the family, and the whole family was there.
Really?
All brothers and sisters and their husbands and their wives all made the trip to Atlantic City.
That's pretty cool.
And so we got to see that. That's quite an experience.
It is. It is.
To be part of that. And, I believe that's his only game that he's ever missed.
I would think so. Did they win, I wonder?
They did. Yep.
And he said, well, it won't happen a second time. But anyway, you came to Kenesaw, did you tell me, in 2001? Is that correct?
2001, yeah.
And you just won 100th game was the other night? Congratulations. That's a big
Thursday.
That's pretty quick to get to 100, actually.
You guys need to go out.
Youngsters coming in. How about that? So anyway, all these years at Kenesaw, the team I remember the most, of course, you had 3 sons, the oldest Tyler, and then Austin last year, and now Preston. Do I remember a game in 2012? Did they actually get a chance to all 3 play together like you and Rob did?
They did.
Did
yes.
they? How many games did? Because I remember seeing
our
Preston.
last game of the regular season. Preston was our starting running back through the season.
Did he get a concussion that night or whatever?
He got a shoulder, but that would have been against. That was against Bertrand.
Okay, and I think I remember.
And, the last game of the season, Austin had been coming back from a fractured femur, so as this season progressed, he was getting closer to getting to play, and he got cleared like a week before our last game against Axtell, and it happened to be an opportunity. We were up pretty good going into halftime, and so the second half, I told the fullback, I said I'd like to all 3 of the boys to run this last series of offense, and because they were going to get one time offensively. And
wow.
so they. So I just called a 24 ISO play, and Tyler handed off to Preston, and Austin made a wonderful block on the edge, and Preston went untouched for like 65 yards for a touchdown. And so I said, well, you got your play. And then Austin got a little bit of playing time in the playoff game, and then Bertrand game in the first quarter, Preston went down with like an AC separation.
I know.
And so then Austin came in and really did well. He ran for almost 100 yards, to finish the game. And so it was a lot of fun to have all 3 on the field together. And it's just been a real joy to coach them all.
It has. They're tough kids, and I added their yardage up, and of course Preston is still active. 10,158 rushing yards between the 3 kids.
Wow.
In their careers, and I think between them they have 5 1,000-yard seasons. So I'm thinking because Tyler was twice, is that correct?
Yeah.
And now Preston, it was Austin maybe just once?
Just once.
And then Preston's on his second. But Tyler, did he ever suffer an injury that kept him out at any length of time?
No, he was our starting quarterback as a freshman.
Right.
And then really took off his sophomore year.
What a player.
Yeah, I don't think he ever missed a game.
Wow.
He got hurt his junior year against Axtell, regular season final, but it wasn't nothing that kept him out. We had to pull him out that game.
Yeah.
But he came back, and he had a great career. He was your prototype of a dual threat quarterback.
Oh, I'd say.
He could make any throw and every throw on the field, and had speed and just that elusiveness to get away from pressure.
But of course, I thought he was good at the time. And then I'd see Austin, and now I see Preston, and I'm thinking he's got to be the best. But it's hard. It's hard to make a choice between those three kids. But Preston and Austin, didn't they both miss? I know Preston missed an entire season, didn't he?
Yeah.
How about Austin?
Austin missed his sophomore year to that fractured femur, and
Wow.
we got him back the last game of the regular season. And then his junior year, when we thought, boy, we got quite a duel here.
Yep.
Preston tore his ACL in the summer, and then second game, it was against Gildner, third game of the regular season. We lost Austin to another fractured femur, and we lost our starting quarterback that same game, and things just snowballed. So here, you go into a season thinking, in the spring when you leave school, boy, we've got a really gifted backfield, and we've got all these linemen back, and things just kind of snowballed 2 years ago. But last year they came back, they were hungry, and just had a great season.
Did either of the boys miss any games last year?
Austin missed the Meridian first round playoff game
Did he have a head thing?
with a
concussion, maybe?
Yeah.
And that
got against Elwood, and so that's his claim to fame is Preston out-yarded him because he didn't get to play in that one game. So
that was terrific. What do you think the best team you've ever had here was? You know what I thought? And I thought it was when Mullen beat you here. Was it the quarterfinals or the semis? I don't remember.
Semis.
When Stephen Dent came down, and I thought that was an awful good football team.
It really was.
Really
yeah,
did.
That was in 2003, I believe.
Yeah, I thought that was a terrific football team.
We had a really good ball club, and we had some exciting ball games. We avenged a loss against,
I've got it right here.
over to be north of us.
2003.
Yeah, because Sargent was in our district.
Yeah, I remember. I saw the Sargent game in the morning.
North Loop, Scotia.
Okay.
We avenged a regular season loss to them, and we beat Sargent that year.
Yeah, good team.
In overtime 2 times in the regular season final and the end of the season, and in the playoffs. So it was.
And they had aspirations. They thought they could go all the way. I don't know how they're going to get past Stephen
we
Dent.
had they're very talented, all the way across, strong kids, and worked extremely hard to get where they did. It's hard to say which was the best team. We were outmatched when Mullen came to town. They were just in a different league.
Well, Stephen Dent and those guys, that was a tough deal. But was Robinson or Powell on that 2003 team?
There was Grant Robinson.
Okay, all right.
He was our running back, and
3-year
he was
thousand maybe, or 2 years?
probably, I think a 2 is.
Okay.
I think he was in that 900
That's right.
his sophomore
Yeah.
year.
Just like Preston,
Yeah.
who I
So we had a great group, and then what had been 2012
Yeah.
when we got beat in the semis to Elgin and Pook John. That was a really good ball club. We had a lot of talent there as well.
How about that line that year?
The line was really good. We had.
Was Carly coaching up there then? Carly
Yeah.
Wells? Okay.
Yeah. And he had a great team too.
I know.
But I think both of us, and Carly probably tell you the same thing. We both felt in our minds that whoever was going to win that ball game was going to win state that year.
Yeah, that might have been a championship game.
Yeah.
That's what I thought anyway.
Yeah, and it was just they got on us early, and next thing you know, we're down 20-6 and just couldn't recover from it.
It ended up fairly close,
but that was a heartbreaker because that was a team that we definitely should have been in Lincoln with, and didn't get there. The 2003 team with the draw of Mullen. It was a long shot, but you can't take away what this team accomplished in 2003. It was just.
I thought that was a nice team, and 2012 to me were the best teams I saw. But I'm not a coach. But what's it going to be like? Maybe you don't even want to think about this, to not have a boy on the football team.
Well, you know,
unless you're planning on having a few more.
I don't have any
Just
more.
like me.
Please report to your office. Mr. Wells, to the office, please.
I can go on to the next, because that's going to be an awful tough thing.
You know, it's
What a
well, the first 8 years here, they were just managers running around, on the
I know.
sidelines. So you know, and before that, you know, we had some great teams, and you know, I never really thought about it then. But this is going to be a little different now that
Yeah.
the last 7 years, I've had a son on the team.
I know.
and being a major part of the team. So, you know, we've got some good young kids, and my focus isn't going to be on what we graduated. It's going to be on what we've got coming up and making sure that they have an opportunity to be as successful as the other teams before them.
So, are your current team, are we healthy?
We are healthy right now, yes. Yeah, you got your typical bumps and bruises happening out there, but nothing's that's going to keep our starters off the field tomorrow night.
Yeah. And that's a big game. And
it really is.
And I think Preston did Preston go down in that game in the third quarter the
He
first
did.
time around? And that was an overtime.
Yeah, there's about 8 minutes left in the
Wow.
third quarter. Just returned a punt, made a plant to make a kid miss, and hyperextended it, and a grade 2 MCL sprain.
Well,
And so he went down, and at that point, it was still a close ball game. But and then we took the lead 40-34.
Lauren Volsky, please report to the
And I
office.
think
Lauren Volsky.
I think they scored with about 18 seconds left
Oh,
to
my
tie the
goodness.
game at 40. And then we had an opportunity. We threw a long pass, got down to the 6-yard line. We had enough time to try one play and incomplete. And then Preston come over and said, "Let's kick it. Let me kick it. I can do that much." Because the trainer had taped his knee up, but he was in no position to run the ball. But so we tried a field goal and didn't block it where he didn't get the blocking right. They blocked it. We go into overtime, and they end up beating us 46-40.
but that's not the end of it. That's the nicest thing. You get another
Right.
shot less than,
Yeah.
a little more than 24
So-
hours from now. So I want to know what you think your chances are of going and, the distance with this football team. And
You
it's
know,
all with the injuries, you've had so many horrible misfortunes down here. This is as good a team as I've seen this year.
It's a good ball club.
You don't have to answer
Yeah.
that, but this is a good team.
It really is. They've answered the call. After the first 2 losses, we've come back, and we are getting better. I think every game we play.
It seems that way.
And probably the biggest area that I see as the improvement is defensively. We gave up 46-20 in the first 2 games, and we have just played lockdown defense since that second game.
That's an interesting thing because that makes a difference.
It does.
And
It
I'm
really
telling
does,
you,
'cause, you get through the regular season, you can score points, and we knew offensively we could score, and the biggest thing was we've got to be able to stop the good offensive teams, and we did. We shut Giltner down, beat a good Bertrand team.
They are good. I mean, that
They
is
are.
a physical team.
They
With
are
Steve up there,
physical,
I mean, come on.
So I feel really good about this ball club. I think, barring injuries and not turning the ball over, playing our style of football and executing, I think are going to be key. But this team is good enough to get to Lincoln. They're good enough to win it. Whether or not that happens.
Well, it's all, but that defensive thing has me real interested because, man, if you can stop a good offense in 8-man football, that's something that not a lot of teams can do. They can outscore, but they can't,
Right.
put the tops,
Yeah.
and that. So it's going to be very interesting, and I don't know when this film's it's going to go up, but it could be tonight as we're talking about. But I wish you guys the best of luck because I've seen you play a couple of times. I like what I see, and I like what you've done. And
Thank you.
I don't think anybody could prepare a team any more than a Bob Schnitzler or a Craig Schnitzler or your sister is a good basketball
Oh,
coach.
yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and
She's,
Wahoo, so, you know, it's got that magic touch in my estimation. So we hope everything turns out for you. And I'm so happy you could talk to us because it's an honor to talk to Andy Schnitzler.
Well, I appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you very much. And we appreciate this opportunity. So good luck to Kenesaw for the rest of the year. And we'll be, hopefully, down the line, we'll do another End Zone Online. So for the Independent.com, Bobby Mills, 1,000-yard guy. We'll catch you down the road.